Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the live session of Let's Talk About Market, episode number 42. If you see the Nifty index, basically, yesterday we saw a correction, and we had mentioned this that the early RMI is in sell, and there can be some correction or consolidation that is possible. And the levels to watch out for was the 40-hour average. In today's a minor dip that we saw, the Nifty index has more or less touched that. So what do we expect next? I mean, that is the discussion point today. But frankly, no. I mean, I saw the other data points; they haven't, changed much. So today's session, I'll try to spend more time on clearing your doubts, or if you all have any questions. Of course, not to take stock specific questions, but if you all have any gap in understanding the concept or something like that, or how to interpret it, I'll try to spend more time on that. But quickly, let me share my screen, and please let me know once you all are able to see the screen and if you all are able to hear me properly. I'm just going to the Nifty screen, Nifty chart. So please let me know if you all are able to hear me properly and if you all are able to see my screen properly. Is Can someone please confirm it on the chat box? Just give me a minute. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the confirmation. Sorry, I thought that there is some issue at my end. Okay. I think there seems to be some net issue. Okay. Fine. I think we're good now. Sorry. Yeah, let's come to the Nifty index. And if you all remember, yesterday we spoke about this, that let the RMI go back to the zero line. Okay, let it come and retest the averages, and from there we'll see. I mean, so far we have done that. Now at least one part is done. Now the next part that we need to wait for, see, again, all this also comes to the position sizing and so on. Ideally, the breakout about this high plus an early bullish crossover would mean that the next leg of up move is unfolding. So the first part where we had to be a little patient for the early RMI to go back to the zero line, that is done. Now whether we get this confirmation of a breakout or no, that we need to see. But I think once 25 220 is broken on the upside, I think we should be headed higher towards 25 400 and eventually to 25 650 700 kind of levels. And I think once this entire zone is broken out, that's where we'll end up getting that much awaited breakout, or whatever you call it, basically a short covering rally from FIs. That will be the expectation. So now few sectors that seems to be doing well is one is Nifty Metal. It seems to be holding the averages pretty well, taking support over there and rising higher. So when such sort of things happen, now you can see over here that the RMI is in sell, right? And it might get into buy, but now the crossovers become a little more irrelevant. That is because at this point of time, the focus should come back to the 20-day. Now, as long as the 20-day holds, it can continue to rise higher, it can continue to inch higher, and there can be some whipsaws on the RMI. But that is how basically you have to try and think about it. So let me show you in the previous cases. So when one-sided move starts happening, okay, like you see over here, okay, So at initially RMI becomes important. So because it helps us to understand, whether the new move is going to start or no. But once the new move starts, that's where you simply trail it with the 20-day. You might end up getting some whipsaws over here, but you should be able to, ride a good amount of move that is going to play out. Okay, so this is something that I would expect over here also, if at all the 20-day does not break. So metals is definitely one sector that we have been talking about for quite some time now, and which has now started to do well, and more importantly started to make fresh highs as well. So if you see over here, this is a fresh all-time high for the Nifty Metal Index. Now think of it this way, that while the Nifty index has still not reclaimed its all-time high, Nifty Metal has done that. Now that is a sign of relative strength, and that's where you might want to stick to the outperformers, and that's where if the market moves, the outperformers will continue to outperform. That is what broadly the expectations will be. So metals is the one that seems to be doing well. Nifty IT, I mean, today we have TCS result, but it is interestingly poised. So if you see over here, 2040, it is trying to break today. Now, whether it is able to break on it on a closing basis or no, we'll need to see. But more than breaking out above that, sustaining for 1 or 2 days will give us a very good understanding that, I mean, if it sustains above this averages, what I would then tend to think that this was a false breakdown, which was just to scare people, and now the bears are trapped, and we might end up seeing a good move. Now, why I have been very bullish on IT as well for quite some time now, and see, usually all these are contra plays, but the reason why I am very bullish on that is because, so I'll try to tell you what is happening in the IT stock. So you can see over here, TCS record shorting in its history. Okay, it has never seen such big shorts. If you see Infi, even over there, the shorts have been relatively high in the past. I mean, in this decline, you can see that even over here, basically, there was a surge in open interest. In this up move, there was only minor, uh, uh, you can say, short covering, but after that, in the next leg of decline, it started to fall even more. So now you think of it this way, that despite the Nifty IT index being marginally lower from this zone, okay, sorry, this is Infi, basically, correcting 5-10% or so from this stock, but the open interest surge is like huge. And if you see, it has almost come back towards its 2019 high. Okay, so over here, basically, this surge in open interest over here also, it was on the back of some long buy, I mean, long position built up, and you can see over here, right, that this first phase was a short covering, and then the up move started happening on the back of long built up, and then COVID led to that long unwinding. But this time you can see that there is short, some some booking out of the positions, or the weak hands getting out, and then again a decline, and there was this big shorting happening. Now, in this recent pullback that we had seen, the OI has started to come down. So that means that people are not shorting much now. In fact, probably the expectation will be that it might go higher. That's why they are not shorting anymore. But there will be levels where, if it breaks, then people will start unwinding their positions as well, and they will think that, there will be room for further more upside. And then it gets into that cycle where, the shorts get covered first, then technical levels break, and then people start building long. Okay, so that is kind of the best phase to be. It can sometimes be very painful and take quite some time to play out, but when it plays out, I mean, it will play out, because I have seen this time and again. I mean, just to give you examples, Kotak Bank, I think credit card issue had occurred. It saw a big gap down over here. It was a life high open interest, huge surge in open interest. Okay, and that time I had heard people saying that, oh, this is a breakdown. So just to give you the context, this was a breakdown. There is a big correction that is going to happen in Kotak Mahindra and so on, and you eventually know what has happened, right? I mean, you can see those on the charts. Similar thing. I mean, I have given this example n number of times. Sun Pharma, so many of you all might be knowing, but UPL again, similar story happened. It took some time to play out. Okay, but you can see over here, you know, while this was falling, okay, there was huge surge in open interest. Eventually it led to an up move, okay, where open interest got covered. But there has been some recently there has been some good open interest built up that we have seen. I mean, lately I have not seen this stock, but the broader idea was that when the sentiment is extremely bearish, people will short that stock left, right, and center. And that's where eventually, when those fears go away, you will end up seeing a good move on the way up. Okay, so this was one example. I mean, I've given the example of ITC as well. So all these stocks, the narrative starts building up that they are good for nothing and they are not going to do anything, okay, for quite some time. You can see over here as well, this up move over here. Basically, each time when the stock was correcting, that's where there was a surge in open interest. Okay, and while it was moving higher, there used to be negligible or no open interest rise. And then you can see this entire up move was on the back of short covering. And usually short covering moves are very powerful, and I mean, they work amazingly well from a medium term perspective. So I have done this webinar, on OI interpretation, rollover analysis. It covers the same thing. You can go and you can check it. But yes, this is there. Then if you see Wipro, similar pattern. I mean, the broader idea is that you see across the basket in IT stocks, you will see this happening where there is huge open interest built up that is there. Okay, in fact, even Wipro you can see was at a life high over here, and now there has been minor short covering that has started to take place. All this thing, I feel that once Nifty IT breaks and sustain above this averages, the uh, the basic the next thing that I will watch very closely, and I would want Nifty IT to conquer those levels, is basically this zone. Okay, so if the weekly averages are broken on the upside, then I'll have this greater confidence that now the correction is finally over and it is ready to rise higher. So that would be the last thing that I'd be watching out for. But given the way how things are playing out, uh, no, this time I'm very hopeful. In fact, even last time I was very hopeful. But sooner or later this has to play out. When is what we are trying to figure out. So this is one sector which looks very good, and I think people have literally written off whatever I hear, read, and so on. So this becomes a good contra bet according to me. The next one is basically Bank Nifty Index. Okay, now this is very important to see what it does, because over here also, we had this pattern, up move, pulling back towards the averages, and now trying to turn around. So over here, if we get a bullish crossover, it will be a good sign and an indication that a minor correction is complete. And the good part is that basically this support zone has been held so far. So this was the support zone, which we had discussed. It has exactly respected that support zone and trying to make a comeback. So even I'm, yeah, so hopeful that it might break this high. I mean, once this high is broken, I think it should be rising higher towards the new all-time high. That is because if this high breaks, basically the 61.8% retracement level of the decline is broken on the upside already, right? So now I think this might be the final hurdle, because we might have to think of it as a swing high. But once this breaks, I think we should be headed higher to 57, 600, 700 kind of levels. So that's what, frankly, I'm looking out for, and I'm hopeful of that. And in Nifty Index, 25 to 20, which is the swing high, right? So that is the level that I would be watching out for very, very closely. If that breaks, it should be interesting. One index where, I have been bullish, but it hasn't so far played out, is actually FMCG index. That is, I mean, and this actually is almost at its lowest point only in this consolidation. So what has happened is that there was an up move, there was a consolidation, and now it is coming back towards the lower end of the channel, right? So somewhere over here, I think that reversal could occur. It can be either from this zone or from this support zone. Okay, somewhere over here, I think it should turn around. Now the reason for expecting this turnaround is also because when we look at RRG, so when we look at RRG, and over there, actually the monthly chart is the one that looks very interesting. So just give me a minute. So when you do monthly RRG and you select FMCG, okay, over here, oh, so this month actually now it's some early pickup and momentum. Even in weekly, there was this case of some momentum that was picking up last week, but this week now again it is turning down. But the broader idea is that when you look at the monthly chart, also it has been respecting that 40 month. Okay, all we now need to see is a turnaround from here. I think once that happens, it can again be a dark horse according to me. And apart from that, the other sectors that we have been talking about, one is basically PSU banks. Those that sector is again another sector that has been very strong. So think of it this way, that while the bank index or the private bank is struggling a bit, this is almost making new 52-week high, and that is again a very good sign. So PSU bank is also where the strength is, and in fact, if you see the biggest stock of PSU bank is SBI. Over here also it was in a big range over here, which seems to have broken on the upside. So that is a good sign. Autos, if you see, hello. Yeah, are you all able to hear me? I guess there was some net disconnect, and due to which I got on mute. Okay. Yes. Great. So yeah, this previous break of low, that seems to be happening over here. So this is not a good sign. Now, given that it is breaking the previous low, I mean, I'm seeing that risk that maybe even the 40 hour will get challenged. I mean, 40-day will get challenged and it might break. Not sure about this, but yes, I mean, we need to keep a very close eye on what Nifty Auto does. Basically, if the 40-hour breaks, then this might be the flag pattern that it could be forming. So need to keep a close eye on this, but not very convinced with the way Nifty Auto is playing out. So all in all, IT, then IT, metal, PSU bank. So these three are the ones that are definitely worth watching out. PSU is a bit lazy trying to pick up. but I mean, this again is an interesting setup over here. And the other one, which is almost towards the low, where I think that some bit of pickup can happen, is basically Nifty FMCG. So watch out for these sectors. Okay. Now, if you see in terms of the data, basically FIIs have, I mean, in past 2 days there has been a little bit of short covering that we have seen, but that's about it. It's very minor, nothing worth talking about. But yes, broadly I think that if 25 to 20, which was this previous high, if that breaks, it might start creating this higher top higher bottom sort of structure. And that's where, hopefully, fingers crossed, we should be able to see the short covering rally, which actually I'm anticipating for quite some time now. That should eventually play out. And if you see daily swing, there is some pickup that we have seen over here. But basically, now more or less this is in a neutral zone, right? So now either we pay attention once it comes around 80-90, or once it comes around 10-20. That's where we need to pay attention. And in the near term, just focus on the price action. So far the trend in the Nifty index broadly looks bullish, and 40R will be the level to watch out for. I mean, if that holds, we are good. And if we get a bullish crossover and we break above the previous high and sustain above it, then again this will be a sign that the up move can continue. So more or less, it looks good so far. Just need some confirmations along the way. If you see mid cap index, similar story. Small cap is the one which is lagging a bit, but over here also, nothing has been broken, so to say, that it has become weak or something like that. So all this pattern more or less looks good. All we need is some confirmation, and need to see follow up. Follow up buying or follow up move based on that. Okay, if, say, for example, if there is a bullish crossover over here, then I would expect that within a day or two, it should break above this, sustain above this, and start inching higher. If we don't get a follow through, then that is where the problem is, and that could be the sign of a sideways market or corrective market and so on. But yeah, broadly the undertone looks bullish. Not many things that have changed too much, but I have tried to discuss in detail about the indices, why they look bullish, and what are the setups that are there. So now, if you'll have anything to ask, you can let me know. You're right, FMCG after GST news was a total trap. Yes. So actually, so FMCG, mein what happened was that, that high was broken, but it never sustained above that. Okay. So you can see over here that there was a gap of opening, okay, above this previous high. So that was very good. In fact, it was gap of opening was above this high also, but it did not sustain, and it just gave up everything. It was more of sell on news kind of thing. But I think the patterns are such that it honestly looks interesting, and I think there can be a good comeback. And this is one which is lagging so far. Okay, so it would be interesting to see what FMCG stock does over here and what are the setups. So yeah, if you all have any interesting setups, let me know, because frankly I have not gone into this. BBL and Dabur, all these stocks making new low. So yes, so the ones which are weak you probably need to avoid. The ones which are strong can be the one to watch out for. How can we save a different indicator like swing and average, daily swing, average swing, call minus put, all in single chart? So Mahesh, I think I had explained this, but let me do it once again. See, you go to the sentiment indicator. Okay, right now these indicators are only available in sentiment indicators. So what I do is that daily swing is already there. I will say daily average swing. Okay, and I'll say call minus put histogram. Okay, So these three I've put it. You can arrange the order if you want this up or down, anything that you can do. Okay. Now over here, what I'll do is that I'll click on indicator template. I'll click on save and say I have done Mahesh test template. Okay. I have saved it. Let me refresh my screen completely. Okay, now I am at this indicator. Now if I click on this four square and I click Mahesh test template, that template will come. Okay, I hope that is clear to you, Mahesh, how to create a template. There is no IT index to trade on from a past experience trading an individual quarterly. How to trade IT sector? So ITBs are also there. I mean, that is one way of doing it, or else it all boils down to stocks then. And yes, I mean, uh, taking bet on stocks prior to results are very deadly because it can go either ways. Okay, so but I mean, all I can say is that manage your risk is what I would say. But yes, to play IT, it is either ITBs that you can do, or maybe some mutual fund, or or it boils down to the individual stocks. APL Apollo, Tata Power, good setup. Okay, I think they're not in APL Apollo. I had seen because metals was doing well. So, but APL Apollo. Yeah. So over here, I think weekly or monthly chart was good. No. So it was probably monthly. Yeah. So in monthly, basically what had happened was that in this consolidation, 40 got tested and it was inching higher. So that way, it has seen a very good consolidation. Interesting. Uh, yeah. So FMCG. So honestly, Deep, even I have not done the work in FMCG. I was just tracking this index today, and I saw that maybe some turnaround can happen. Uh, so I'll need to dig a little deeper which ones are doing well. But maybe first look, let's see where is it that at least the momentum is rising. So I am just comparing it with Nifty and not with FMCG because I need to see even at this point which are the ones that are turning around. So it's United Spirits. So that is the only one that seems to be turning around. And there is this Nestle. So United Spirits, I think we had discussed about this, that it is in a range. So far that range is not breaking either ways. So this is United Spirits, Nestle. Nestle is also in a range, but yeah, not that great setup, at least because we are not getting any confirmation yet. But I'll probably need to dig a little deeper into this. And sorry, this was all weekly. In daily, there are many other things like Godrej, CP, seeing some turnaround, Britannia, ITC, Patanjali, Nestle. Yeah, we'll need to do some work on this. So, how Strike platform will help tracking stock study purpose? Can you check the OI data and weekly RMI showing by? Yeah, so Sriranga, I think you're right. So that is the case over there. Basically, in TCS, I mean, this setup is prevailing for quite some time now. I mean, where If you see the weekly RMI, that seems to be turning around. Okay, you see futures data, that also showing extreme OI. You see the fundamental valuation 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. So if I go to P, I take it 1 year, almost around -2 HD, 3 year, almost around -2 HD, or I think it is in 3 years, it is even below -2 HD, I guess. Yeah. So sorry, this was 5 years below 2 HD. My 3 years minus, I mean, it is minus below 2 HD. So that way, I think the risk reward is very good over here. The only thing is that when will it start? When does it start rising? I mean, that is the question. So, technically the setup is actually very good. Once again, I mean, this is not a recommendation, but I'm just trying to tell you that all the data points that we are seeing over here, it all indicates that there is a lot of pessimism towards this stock. Usually, when everyone is on the one side, I mean, something happens and then the turnaround happens. So what will that something be? That we need to see. But yeah, I mean, for quite some time now, the data is like that only. How to add Nifty capital, Nifty defense. Basically, so far we have not put those indices in the list. There are many of the indices which NSE is not giving us. Basically, we need to subscribe to the tick by tick data, only then they will give. And tick by tick data becomes unviable, frankly, because they charge a huge amount. So we're trying to get it. When will it be done? I don't know. We'll need to see. No chart, no setup box. No, so not like that. I wouldn't agree to that. The setup was good. It might have played out as well. I think I remember talking about VBL when there was turnaround in RRG, and that was somewhere around this time, right? So if you remember, no, sorry, it was somewhere around here. So the entire discussion was that it can probably go back towards the 40-week average. So somewhere over here, that when the turnaround was happening, that's where we had spoken about it. It saw a good move, but then you also have to accept that if it has not gone higher, so 40-week was what was expected. It came to those levels. It couldn't sustain above that, and then it went down. So we have to live with that and accept that as well. So, and also keep in mind that the stock had also run up from 42 to 600. If you see on valuation parameters, it is, very richly valued, and all those things. So each stock will have its own behavior as well. It's not that FMCG will rise, then everything will rise. The stock fundamental also needs to be supportive. In that sense, if you see VBL's valuation, it was off the charts anyways. But that was just a technical play that we were trying to play. That is because RRG was hinting towards that. So let me show you so that you understand the context. So can you see this? This was VBL's valuation, market cap to sales. You take it any parameter, it had come to +2 HD over here. Okay, it was trading at a 95, 98 P. So you cannot expect that it can continue to run higher. So I hope you understand the difference. Federal Bank gave fantastic trade for 3 candles, now traded. Yeah, I mean, such is the market, Deepak. We are not getting those trending moves, and that is where the issue is. Please at least give. See, Deep, we are not here to recommend anything. Okay, we are trying to find the sectors based on the data that we are seeing, and we are talking about things more objectively over here and data driven. And it is not that I feel this will happen, I feel that will happen. Okay, if the trend of something is bullish, we are mentioning that, and why is it bullish is the reason why we are mentioning that. Okay, so I don't want to get into those things, because we are not looking at looking to advise or anything. It is more of a session where we try and learn how to identify stock picking and how to see which sectors will do well and so on. I mean, that is the broader idea behind this, what we are doing. Mandar Elite Wave. So unfortunately, Mandar, we are not at the IC platform over here, so won't be able to talk about the Elite Wave counts and so on. But in terms of the setup that we normally look at, which is 20, 40, and so on. I mean, 20-day is broken in Nifty Auto, right? So over here, 40-day average is what we need to see whether it holds or no, and then we will have to take a call from there on, and wait for the setup to emerge. Right now, there is no bullish crossover or nothing, so I mean it is just sideways, or you can say in a corrective phase. So let us focus on it once it turns around. As of now, there are no signs visible. So on screener filtering for prices about 10. So Naveen says on screener filtering for price about 10, EMA shows only few stocks. Since all stocks must be on the side, is there a screener data limitation? No. So Naveen, just to give you the context, okay, I think many of these people have doubt. I have tried to clarify it in the past as well. So let me go to technical scanner. Okay, so EMA was your question, right? Now, now please understand. Uh, Let me change it to daily just to give you those examples. Now, see, when I do this, okay, so think of it that all means everything in the watch list plus everything which is there in the basket. Okay, so if I don't have a watch list which covers all the stock, and say for example if I have only these things, now see, I am removing everything from the watch list. Okay, I'll tell you the difference. Okay, now you're saying that in terms of crossover, you were seeing above or below 10 MA, 10 DMA. Okay, so there were only few stocks that you were seeing crossing above 10. Okay, so I think over here, are you able to get 86 stocks? If no, then please go and check what is selected in the basket, because it will show only for that. Okay, now what I have actually done is that I have created a watch list of all NSE stocks. Okay, as you can see over here, there are somewhere around 26, 38 stocks that are there. Now your question will be how to create NSE all stock list. Go to the heat map, go to NSE all stocks. Okay, click over here in the save watch list option. Create a new watch list and add all the stocks. Okay, untick on name, click on name, everything will be added over here. Okay, so once you add, you will be able to see, say for example NSE all stock. Now you go to the screener and just specifically click on that particular basket, and it will show you the scan of all the NSE stocks. So now see, you are able to see crossing about 10 May 86. Now the moment I do NSE all stock, this result will expand to 191 stocks, right? So now it is considering all NSE stock. So just go to the basket. All simply means all the things that are selected in your drop down, and it is not all stocks. Okay, we would bring those all stocks at some point. I mean, there was this loading issue and so on. That's why we couldn't include at that point of time. But this is one way to do it. Just create a watch list, make it of all stocks, and then select that watch list and then run the scanner. You will be able to get the result of all the NSE stocks. Okay, I hope Naveen that is clear to you, because I think many of the people have that question. So I hope you will be able to get it. So supposingly, if you are not able to still get it, please let us know. You raise a ticket, someone might call you from our support team and will help you out. Okay, but that is the way to look at it. Okay, so I assume that you must have got it. So, anyways, thanks a lot. I think we are done with the 40-minute session. It's 11:40. Let's catch up tomorrow and see what the Nifty index does. Thank you.